Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Clarity to CEO podcast, where we help women build businesses with strategy, intention, and stability. Today's conversation is one that so many women are quietly navigating, but not always talking about openly. I'm joined by Cenita Johnson-Jackson. She's a digital marketing strategist, speaker, and an advocate for caregivers and women balancing multiple life roles. As the founder of 3 Owl Communications, Cenita brings both professional expertise and lived experience to the conversation of what it really looks like to lead while carrying a full life. Today, we're going to be talking about what it means to truly juggle it all. That's the career, the home, aging parents, business, and everything in between. And more importantly, how to move from survival mode into something that's more sustainable and enjoyable. If you've ever felt like you've been pulled in 10 different directions while still trying to show up as the CEO of your business, this conversation is for you. I am so glad to welcome Cenita to the show. I have known her for a few months, almost a year, maybe around this, and we've really gotten to know each other. I had the privilege of being on her show, which you will hear about shortly. But in my introduction, I was very brief. So, Cenita, can you please share exactly who you are, a little bit about your history and the value that you're going to bring to us this morning?
Yes, so my name is Cenita Johnson-Jackson, and my company is 3 Owl Communications Inc. It's basically a multimedia company. So one leg, I do digital marketing for small to medium-sized businesses. If you don't know what digital marketing is, it's social media, basically ads, etc. And then the other part that we're really gonna dive in is I have a show called Aging with Purpose for women 40 and over. And it's basically conversations and interviews that can range from caregiving, aging, retirement, career, etc. And it's my primary audience are women 40 and over. With
Mhm.
I actually enjoy giving speaking engagements specifically to caregivers, women who are juggling everything, because women are the primary family caregivers, not only for uh, children, teenagers, adult children, whatever, but also uh, adults, our parents. And I was in that position at one time. I moved here to the DC area, away from California, away from the beach, away from the entertainment industry, which was my career for years, in preparation for my dad's decline from Alzheimer's. He actually lived in Alabama, but I tried living near there and just couldn't handle it. So I wound up here in the DC area and eventually moved here with me. So I have a passion to speak to women who may be juggling a career, a business, their kids, their family, friends, everything, including
Yeah.
taking care of an adult. How do you juggle all this without
Yes.
losing yourself and crashing out?
Yes. I can feel that. I can feel that. I've got 3 kids myself, running my own business. I've got my husband, and I can definitely feel that losing myselfness in all the mess of that. So thank you for creating that, recognizing that, and creating that space and that outlet to be able to talk about it, um, and recognize it in other women. It's so important. Um, so I can imagine people can, as hearing you describe it, people can start to see themselves in that and understand what that, the term of juggling it all can kind of mean and how it applies to their lives. Do you have a sense that there's some hidden loads that exist that can kind of happen in this? Like, I know there's a sandwich generation that we have right now where we've got like, my mom is in Florida, so I'm not immediately impacted with it. But my his parents are here in our area. And I can imagine we're going to get to that point where we have our kids and we have his parents. And we're going to be like in the middle of taking care of both of them. So, what are women carrying that isn't always visible? And how does that impact their ability to lead effectively?
One, you're always on, you're always concerned. It's like there's emotional labor, mental labor, and physical labor. and basically it's a continuous stress of
Mm.
concern because you're not only dealing with yourself, your business, your career, and like you mentioned, your family, then you have this other family, your parents that you have to take on. So it's an added load. And it's like a silent overwhelm because women do so well at multitasking and juggling.
Yeah.
We don't realize how much of a toll it's taken on us. For example, I didn't know there was a such thing as caregiver PTSD.
Mm.
I was at a senior center and I was speaking to a group of potential caregivers and current caregivers. And one of the women mentioned it that she had just gone to I guess, a webinar or something about it. And literally at that moment, it was like, aha, it's like, that's what's wrong with me. Because my dad had already passed, but I found that something was wrong, even though I did all the things I needed to do to take care of myself, self care. And you hear that a lot when you're caregiving for an adult, I still was in the midst of something psychological, something physical that I didn't know what it was until I heard that term. So what you'll find is that a constant reminder that you need to care for yourself. You need to take breaks. You need to create systems and be organized so that when there's fires and emergencies, whatever the case may be, you don't find yourself wasting a lot of time and adding more stress on top of what you already have trying to get things done. But because everything's unorganized or there's no systems in place, it makes it a lot worse. Unfortunately, caregiver PTSD will occur if you're taking care of adult parents, but you can minimize the effect of you won't crash out if
Yeah.
create systems for yourself along the way and learn different tips. Share with other people what you're going through because you'd be really surprised at who has dealt with who are going through what you're dealing with, or who have already done what you're doing, who can share little tips that is extremely effective in alleviating some of that stress.
That is so powerful. I never even thought about that, of the impact that that experience will have, even when the experience is quote unquote over after they have moved on. It still sits in you, and the impact and how if it changed your life, even for that time period, it never really, yeah, it doesn't leave you.
Yeah, I couldn't get married. My husband already asked me, well, my husband now, we were
Yeah.
planning to get married. And every time I would think of planning the wedding, I just started bawling and crying. It wasn't really about my dad being gone. It was that I was so tired and I didn't understand why. It's like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. Okay, so and I know many of the women listening, they're running businesses as well. And so that is added pressure. So you mentioned these systems. So can you give some examples of these systems that we should be creating to help us give us that sense of control?
Yeah. First of course, you have to have systems in your business. We all know that. But systems at home, for example, if you are caregiving for an adult, I created a folder where I had my dad's social security card, medical information, his bank account information, so that whatever I was handling for him, I had it in one place.
Yeah.
Some things had to go on a file, but it was in those two places, and that was it. When I went to doctor's appointments, I had that folder. I could immediately hand whatever information I needed to the doctor, my POA, whatever. Everything was done rather than having to cancel that appointment, go home, reschedule. So that saves time. Also, joining online support groups. And I say online specifically because it's a lot easier to do everything online time wise because you have to consider your time. My dad had Alzheimer's. the Alzheimer's Foundation has several online groups. Your community might, the county may have online webinars and giving who will, and these people are in it or have experience so they can give you tips. Wi-Fi cameras. I learned about that from an online group. That kept me from having to go to my dad's room all the time. I could roll over my bed, look at my little iPad that had him streaming on there, see that he's in bed. I could watch him when he was in the bathroom. Little things like that saves a lot of stress, added stress.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing I was thinking of when you were saying that too is picturing, okay, I know, especially in this area where I am, I hear of, so I was involved with um, a senior organization in my area called Go Rides. They're still there, still very active. They provide rides for seniors in the area. Um, and so I would hear often of the main appointments people would need rides for is dialysis.
Mhm.
And those would be like, sometimes 2 different people would pick up and drop off because the time of that appointment was sometimes be lengthy. And so immediately I'm thinking, "Okay, great. If that was my luck with my parents that I am taking care of, and I'm trying to run a business," I would be like, "Okay, great. The appointment where I'm taking my mom or dad to is over here. I don't have to sit there with them the entire time, so I'm gonna find somewhere in the area where I could co-work or, bring my laptop so I don't have to go all the way back home, but I can still continue to work. Maybe I can have somebody meet me there if we're going to do like one-on-ones, a way to still make use of that time to where it's not lost time. I'm still able to move forward and be productive and still take care of that person. So like creating systems like that where I'm still working around and showing the love and being supportive where I can and, taking them where they need to be, but then also taking care of what I need to do as well. Is
Yes.
that kind of like some of the systems you're thinking of as well?
Absolutely. And one thing also is share and ask family members for help because you probably go through this, I'm guessing. If you're a woman who has your own business, even in a career, there's always that one person in the family who everyone knows does everything well, who everything kind of falls on. You must have other people in the family help you if you can. I'm an
Yeah.
only child, so I had no one.
Yeah.
What I did was my husband, he's from the area. Like, for example, for weekends, so I can have time away with him, go over to his house and date weekend. I found because a caregiver could actually be $30 an hour. So in order for me to, I guess you could say, crush that budget a bit, he had
Mhm.
out that he had a cousin who was a college student who wasn't into partying. She was very serious. So she came over and stayed with my dad and basically got like $200 for the weekend cash. And she had a lot of time to study and made some extra cash as well. That's the
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is perfect. That's perfect. Thankfully, I have older children as well. So thankfully, his parents are getting up there, but they're still very active. They still work full-time jobs. They're talking about retiring soon, but they're not there yet. But even then, I feel like they're still not at that level where they're going to need that care yet. Um, but that's good because my children who are now in high school may be at the point where they get to need that additional support if they haven't gone to college out of state, we have not just me and my husband, but our children can participate as well. So it's not just all on us. So that's helpful to yes, have that community around.
a suggestion I would make since they're not there yet. Start preparing. Uh,
Mm,
do you have the POA in place? Do you know where their social security cards? And start creating like a system now where all their information is in one place. So when that time comes, also clutter. A lot of our parents, if you could start decluttering a bit here and there, because
yeah.
all of that's going to fall on you. I had to clear out my parents' whole house. Literally, I wound up renting a huge, what are they called? The big can't try whatever they call trash cans. I don't know what
Yeah. The dumpster thingies, the portable ones. Yes. Yep.
$4,000 to rent one of those because I was
Oh,
just getting rid of stuff.
Yes.
I was exhausted from giving it away, taking it to the thrift stores, like, "I'm done."
They are thankfully in the process of kind of downsizing their home right now. So thankfully we're doing a lot of that right now. We're like kind of helping them pack. And at the same time as we're helping them pack, we're like, do you really need that anymore? Because we're trying to think, 10, 15 years from now, we're gonna have to eventually figure out what to do with it. If you haven't used it since then,
And the best part about preparing in advance is you don't know where you're going to be physically at that time. So the more
yeah,
you
exactly.
have done, and that's part of systems, like thinking in advance as much as possible, because we tend to only think of the financial part, having
Mhm.
retirement, but all those other things that are stressful, especially when a parent lives in another state. Because I've heard
Yeah.
many stories of it's like one only one sibling is the one who rents the truck and goes and clear out the house. And so you have to start having those conversations and thinking about that. Because what if your business is at its peak moment and then suddenly you have to make these changes with your parent and it's just has a crushing effect on you.
Yes, yes. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. I think that's something that, yeah, just like you're saying, one of the things I coach is trying to be more proactive with your businesses and how you approach decision makings and planning, and instead of reacting to what's happening right now, planning ahead. And now I can see how incorporating that aspect into it. I was always incorporating, especially looking at some of the women I was coaching. I would say, okay, let's think of your business 10 years from now. And a lot of the women were like, well, 10 years from now, I'm going to be retired because they're up and they already were working full time. This was a business they started after they left corporate. And so they're nearing retirement age. And so for them, 10 years from now, they don't see themselves in their business. And so I started to realize, okay, I have to incorporate that aspect into my coaching of thinking about, well, if you're not doing the business, what's happening to the business? Is the business closed when you've done, or do you want the business to live on? Think about that. And so now, yeah, I can incorporate what else is going on in your life that you should think about. What is it possible, like, children leaving the house and you become empty nesters? That could also have an impact on how you run your business. Either way, it's there's things to think about and adjust because how you run the business will it be impacted by any life change like that.
Yeah, and what if your parent isn't able to get around? Like my dad couldn't be left alone, so I wound up having to work full-time remote, well, part-time remote. I had two part-time jobs. So I
Mm,
be there with them. What if
yeah,
I'm able to work remote? Are you gonna hire a caregiver? Can you afford $30 an hour from even if there are funds, will it cover it, or will you be able to pay more? If you're
yeah,
I learned from someone because my dad was a vet, I wound up getting 9 hours a week of free care for him, and there's a other, like, respite care, there's a lot of other services available even with the county, if but that's with your income has to be below a certain level.
yeah,
So just things like that to consider and think about because if all of a sudden you got to pay $30 an hour for your parents' care, assuming their retirement doesn't cover that, how is that going to affect your business profit? You're taking care of your own bills. So those are things, like you said, planning in advance to consider.
yes. One thing I'm thinking of too is how these women define success.
Mm.
Because I can imagine many women will feel naturally like there is a level of burden that comes with caretaking. And so I don't want women to feel like this is all just they're sacrificing and having to give up a big chunk of their lives to make this happen. And so it's like, how do we help them define success in a way that incorporates this caregiving into their life to where it's not taking away from the success? So they need to involve as they reach that midlife stage where they're still caring for some of the younger, older children, now caring for their parents. So especially for women balancing their business, their family, and caregiving. How do we help them define success in a way that incorporates it all? So she doesn't feel Yeah, burden.
I say the first thing is to remember that no one and nothing is going to be done with perfection.
Mm,
All you
yes.
do is do the best you can with the information that you have at that moment. That's life, period. Don't beat yourself up. All you can do is do your best. Like with, and even with myself, I consider the time that I took care of my dad as my greatest success. I was in my professional fashion model for over 20 something years, you know, et cetera, commercials, etc. But to me, the most important moment was taking care of my dad because I give him the credit. Like I wouldn't have been able to do those things had he not given me that foundation. So that's my definition of success. You have to define that for yourself. You know what I mean? And then, like now that I'm healed from the caregiver PTSD, it's been this past year basically, I was able to get married. And even with the government cutbacks, like I had still was at one of the jobs, part-time remote jobs, I actually hate it, but I had no energy to leave because of everything I was dealing with. Once I got laid off with the budget cuts, which was perfect because I was planning on leaving anyway. I was working that emotion to get back to everything that I was doing before. Now, even though sometimes I feel like I lost those years in that career, yes, I created Aging with Purpose, which gave me that, kept my foot sort of in the creative realm of what I was doing before. I created that, started that when I had my dad so that I can have some sanity because I didn't corporate America was not is not and was not my life, my personality. I've had little jobs there. So that was very miserable and unhappy part
Oh,
at 7, 8 years. So that may have contributed to the PTSD. So just wrapping it all up, find that touchstone that no matter what's going on, and it might be your business, like, I will not let this go because I need this. For me, I needed my YouTube show to keep my sanity. So it may be your business, like, no matter what I'm going through, me being able to do this, it may not be making money just yet. It might not be where I want it to be just yet, but just being able to do this thing right here is success. It
yes.
would say also having taking care of your adult children, your teen children, like managing that, and maybe they're contributing, that's success because you have family who's helping you and working with you. Being if you're someone who normally can't ask for help and now you're asking people for help and not trying to do everything, that's success.
Yes.
Anything that's helping you to grow and change in any form is success. We have to, I think women, we tend to put more on ourselves that other people don't.
Mhm, mhm.
So bring it down to reality
Yeah.
that you can, and that's success.
Yes. That's so good. That is so good. So now for those women who are already in that survival mode right now. So they've kind of gone to that point. Maybe they missed the signs and they're just trying to hold everything together. What is one shift that she can make right now to kind of move towards a more sustainable, thriving life?
I'm huge on planning out my day. I'm on like write down that everything I want to make sure I get done that week. It could be pulling the weeds in the garden, the little things like that, clean, washing the sheets or whatever. I write down my to do for the week. And then every day, either the night before or the day before, I just have a little pad so I can scratch stuff out. If I mess up that page, I could tear it down and throw it away. I get them from the dollar store. And I write down everything. But what I don't get done, I just keep it on the list. I don't beat myself up because, life happens. Life be lifing.
Yeah. She does.
But I don't forget the important things because you do take care of the priority. the most important things first, but you don't forget those other little things because it could be picking up medicine. It could be, just those little things that need to be done. But because you have so much going on and God forbid a fire occurs that week where you got to take care of something and you forget, just like going to the grocery store
Yeah.
list because you go to the grocery store and then you forget something and you got to go back again because you need that ingredient. Write a list. That saves a lot of stress.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely love that. I love planning out my days as well. I kind of have my morning routines and my structure and I feel it. I feel it when something shifts out of alignment, even little things like thankfully my kids are one in middle school, two in high school. But the two high schoolers, their bus arrives around 7:10. And then my middle schooler, so they're the last. So my high schoolers are the last stop on their bus route. My middle schooler is the first stop on his route. So his bus comes like around 7:20. So I just stay out there, walk the dog, stay out there. And like they're both like running the same window. So I'm like, perfect. And so when any of them are running behind and they're going to miss the bus, it's so one of us have to drive them to school. That just totally throws off my morning. It's like little things like that, can, like, disrupt the flow of what I was expecting for the day to go. But I know, okay, I have my plan to go back to. So once I get back home, I just need to find out, okay, where I am in my plan and my flow for the morning and just get back into it. If I didn't have that flow to return to, I can see how, like, that would just disrupt the entire day, and I'll just be like, "Oh, well, the whole day's just thrown off."
You forget to make that business call that was very important for you to make. You forget to write that proposal because now you're a little bit frantic. And I get frantic and stressed. It takes a moment for it to come down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think that has to do with hormones. I'm postmenopause, but everybody, is in a different area in their
Yeah.
premenopause, postmenopause. And I swear, I honestly believe it has to be a hormonal thing.
Oh, yes, definitely. I agree with you 100%. I am not sure if I'm there yet. I'm still in like my mid-40s. I'm getting there, but I can feel it coming. And I know it's not me. It's
And,
got to be something else happening inside me. It's not me.
and that's just it. It's not you. So
Yeah.
with that is why winging it will make you crash because during all of this, you're running your business, your family, your kids. If, I don't have kids, but still, and your career job while you're running a business, and then your adult parents, family, friends, everything else. Trying to wing it will make you crash. So you also that's what's important is self-care.
Mm,
Take a bubble bath. I have done every 2-week massage for like 5 years now.
nice.
Uh, Go walking, exercise. You have to, if you start getting into caregiver online groups or support groups in general, one of the things you're constantly hear is self care care. And I'm
Yeah.
so tired of hearing it, but I really eventually got it, especially after I learned about caregiver PTSD. You have
Mhm.
to take care of yourself.
Yes. Ugh. That is so important. I am thankful. I'm still caring for my children, but yeah, I'm not quite in that same. But yeah, but yes, I'm already feeling that. Like if I don't do my morning walks and have my morning like meditation and quiet time, I feel the difference. So I know it's going to be even more important as I get older, as I change, and as I need to do more to step in and care for other people. If I don't incorporate that routine and habit in my life now, yeah, it's gonna be harder to just force it in there later on.
Yeah, and it may be several things. I enjoy junk TV. Didn't used to years ago, but I found that takes me away.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think, process anything. You're just watching this.
No, you required, and sometimes you need that.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome.
Owner.
Yes. I so one last question before we wrap it up. So back to like the whole business owner as a CEO perspective. How can women start making decisions that are going to honor both their business goals and their real life responsibilities without making them feeling like they're failing at one or the other?
Set goals. I'm sure that's one of the main things you speak to your clients about. Set goals. That way you just know if you're on target.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make them in, break them down in chunks, and so I think that's probably where I'm going with that. Set goal.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I do, I offer quarterly retreats, and they're in-person experiences. And yes, I do touch on a lot of what I coach in the mastermind, but it starts with a goal setting session. And I tell them, like, this is not a business goal setting session. This is a Cenita goal setting session. Like, look at your life. Picture yourself a year from now. What to be that person you want to be a year from now? What do you need to work on? It could be your health. It could be prayers. It could be, fitness, whatever it is that you need to work on. Yes, business may come up and that's great, but it may not. We need to set those goals for yourself. Later on, maybe we'll pick one, business goal that we could focus on if it wasn't one of those. Um, but yeah, it needs to, as women entrepreneurs, we're so, involved in everything. Like everything overlaps. Like we can't turn off our business mind once we go home and vice versa. Like it's all intermixed. And if one area of our life isn't balanced, the other areas aren't going to work as well.
Yeah. I guess it all goes back to self-care. And
Yeah.
set goals is self-care.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a stress reliever as well, because if you set a goal, again, that means you're writing down steps towards reaching that goal, which goes back and let's making its all tie together.
Yes. That's the key. Not just setting the goal and saying, I want this. It's creating those action steps to make the goal actually a reality. And then creating those action steps in a way that is realistic, something you can actually apply in your life and do. That's the missing piece sometimes. That
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go to sessions and like, oh great, I created such great goals, but then I walked away thinking, what am I going to do with this goal? At least I don't know what to have it move forward.
Yes, some
Yeah.
people make these huge lofty goals, because I remember one time years ago, and two different friends actually. One was like, "Oh, I want a yacht and I want a plane." It's like, "Huh? You are barely getting by right now.
Yeah.
I set something realistic first."
I want to pay off this credit card. Okay. There you go.
Sometimes I think we get so much into seeing all the fake stuff on the internet, and people are living all these very wealthy, rich lives. Some of them really are, but a lot of them
Yeah.
are in it.
Yeah.
That's what work, like you said, what's going to truly make you happy and feel fulfilled. Kind of like what they say when you picture yourself at the end of life. If your life was to end in 5 years, what would you want to accomplish within those 5 years to feel like, okay, if I got to go at this point, I will feel okay about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is impactful.
Real quick, can I share with you, with your audience, a dream I had many, many years ago that I based my business on. And I usually like to share with people because I feel like there's a message for everyone in it.
Yes.
Okay. So I remember I had this dream, I think it was maybe 15 years ago by now. And in the dream, all these people were taking this journey on this road. But also at some point, several people will have to go back to this body of water. It looked like it was a lake because you could see people across. It was a small lake or whatever. And people were drinking the water from their hands, quench their thirst, and then they would continue on the journey. But everyone at some point would get thirsty again, have to go back to this body of water. And what part of the message was is that people could only get so far. They weren't making it to their destination. So in this dream, and on one trip back to the body of water, I find a jar. And I'm excited because like, oh, great. I can complete my journey without having to go back to the body of water. So when I'm walking, I'm excited holding my jar with my water. And then I notice some people going back. So I give them my jar of water so they can go back. And then of course, as a result, they're moving forward and I have to go back to the body of water. This time, because I gave my jar to help other people, I found several jars. The message was like, okay, I was able to continue on. I think that's the greatest purpose or message that people should carry with themselves of what would be their idea of success is you are giving back something to help other people. You're helping your kids become productive adults. You're with your business, like you're coaching people, you're helping people in their lives. If someone's making candles for their business, that candle is bringing a beautiful aroma to people's lives. And, what are you doing to help other people move forward in their life, their journey, make it more pleasant? That's success. And I believe that was the meaning of the dream. As long as you're giving to help others, maybe it's a smile, maybe you're that person in the family people come to for advice. That's giving and that's
Yeah.
success.
That is beautiful. I love that. I love that. I love that you had the dream and I love that you sat on it and decided it's not something you keep to yourself, that you need to share it. So thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad we had the time to have this conversation. Thank you for being here with us. And I'm so excited to share this conversation with my audience. Please, can you share with everybody how they can connect with you and get into your world? I know you have your YouTube channel, so how can they find you there as well?
Yeah, so they can go to my website is my main website for the company is www.3, the number 3, owl.co. And that would take you to 2 links. There's a link for the Digital Vault, which is my social media digital marketing business, and then Aging with Purpose. And that would take you to the link for the YouTube show, which is agingwithpurpose.tv. There's coaching information, my books, my speaking, all that stuff is there.
Awesome. Perfect. Please make sure you check it out. And I thank you for being here, Cenita.
Thank you for having me.
Cenita, thank you so much for this conversation. I think so many women are going to feel seen, understood, and honestly relieved to know that they're not alone in what they're navigating. What I most loved about this conversation is the reminder that success isn't about just doing more. It's about building a life and a business that actually works for the season that you're in. If this episode resonates with you, share it with another woman who's been carrying a lot right now, because chances are she needs to hear this message also. As always, stay rooted in clarity, build with intention, and lead like the CEO you are, even in the middle of it all.